If you're struggling to create that high flying, soft landing, greenside pitch shot, I've got you covered. Today we're going to be using an umbrella. So I'm going to jump straight into the drill just using any old umbrella. Obviously I'm going to call it the umbrella drill. So I want you to hold it in your lead hand and I want you to make a swing through and be able to open the umbrella. Now what you should get is it covering you from rain, at least the first half of your head. So you can see my thumb is starting to point more upwards. So I have allowed that club to catch up and pass my hands. And if I now put my trail hand onto it, you will see that my body is having to work up and rotate. And that's the finish position I'm looking for. So good players, their head is rising and rotating. They're not staying down here. So for me to get my trail hand onto my lead hand onto the umbrella here, I've got to move up and rotate, and you can see that brolly is above me. The wrong movement. Now, a lot of people say, well, why show the wrong movement? But this is something I see very, very commonly, a big issue when amateurs pitch. And we'll go a little bit into the setup in just a second, because this is a big part. But an issue I tend to see is more here. So again, if I'm opening the brolly, it's not up, and golfers from that position will generally be hitting a low ball flight. If I now get my trail hand onto the club, you'll see there's a lack of rotation and a lack of upward movement. So the brolly out in front of me, my body is having to stay down through the shot. I really want this type of movement, up and rotating. So just simply using a brolly in your lead hand is going to get you the sensation of allowing the club to catch your hands, effectively cocking or uncocking of this lead wrist. But what I often see for golfers struggling in terms of their setup position, when they get this poor movement here and they're struggling with a flight of it, they tend to hit it low, they tend to struggle with inconsistent strikes, often not using the bounce of that golf club correctly. They're in a setup position where I tend to see them shoving their hands a long way forwards at setup. And what that does is it gets my shoulders very tilted. So I get my handle forwards, which sets my lead shoulder high, my trail shoulder very low, and my pressure normally favoring the trail foot, sternum slightly behind the golf ball. So from that position, if we manage to keep our hands forwards enough, we might get away with it. But I'm going to strike that ball very low, struggle with consistency of contact. Often golfers struggle with fat and thin strikes from there, and you'll see my body has had to stay down. I haven't got this type of movement. You'll see that trajectory as well. Now look at the difference. The bad setup is a lot of shaft lean, causing a lot of tilt in the shoulders. A good setup position is keep the ball forwards, keep the pressure forwards, but move the handle back. Now, a lot of golfers, when they want to move the handle back, they also move their weight or their pressure back. I'm asking you to keep it favoring your lead foot. So my sternum is over the ball, but I'm angling the handle back so it's more at my belly button here. Now, from that position, it's much, much easier to finish here. So I'm not creating that shaft lean. I'm not getting this big tilt to shoulders. I almost want to feel like my shoulders are more level, but the handle is more back. And look at the finish position. It's not quite got enough distance, that one, but lovely high ball flight, lovely soft landing, and a great angle here in my wrist. So my body has moved up and rotated, and I've really allowed that club to catch up and pass my hands. Very, very different to the first one I showed you, which is more of what I'd call a handle drive this way. This is allowing me to release the golf club. If you get a chance to go and watch pros warming up on the practice ground before they go and play in any tournament, or even in tournament conditions, you'll see very shallow divots on these greenside pitch shots. They're not driving it deep in. There are a couple. A Jordan Spieth perhaps is a little bit more of a driver, maybe even a Phil Mickelson. But the majority of players are really using that loft and bounce. So the bounce just meaning that the back edge of the wedge is hitting the ground first, not the front edge. So we're starting to get that club to glide and skim correctly. So that setup is going to help. Instead of the handle forwards and the big tilt, shoulders more level, which gets the pressure onto that lead foot, handle more back. And now that umbrella drill, to open the umbrella and get it over my head, here. I've allowed the club to catch up with my hands, so I've created this angle of my wrist where my thumbs are pointing more up, and my body to achieve that has had to rotate and rise, not into this position, staying down and stuck that way. Okay, so it's a big, big part. Let me finish with one more. Set up, shoulders level, handle back, and then focus on that finished position. Rotate and rise and look at the angle in my wrist. And I'm creating their lovely high, soft landing pitch shots. It's really going to help you. Your strike doesn't have to be perfect. You learn from that actually I'm hitting the ground slightly before the ball. It's not having to be perfect ball turf contact. So we do get away with using the wedge correctly with this simple setup and that little umbrella drill. Give it a go. Let me know how you get on, smash the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content just like this.